Hey, Paul.
Hi, JJ.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Wonderful. So it looks like we're gonna have some fun today. What are we doing?
We are going to attempt to use, hold on, wait a second, Konveyer,
Nice.
and specifically their crane operator. And that is a project that's designed to migrate applications from one Kubernetes cluster to another.
Hopefully this video will show how easy it is to make this happen. So let's just get going. So here's conveyor here. We're going to be using Crane. So you want to talk about what Crane is real quick?
Yeah, I don't think we have too much to say other than what it says right there, which is migrate your container-based application between Kubernetes clusters. So where I see interest in this is folks that are upgrading from one version of Kubernetes to another major version of Kubernetes. And often at a very large version bump, people will choose to stand up the two clusters side by side and move the workloads rather than try to upgrade the existing cluster.
We have two clusters here, one on AWS and the other one on IBM Cloud. So we're going to transfer from an project on AWS onto IBM Cloud, leveraging the conveyor workflow. We actually need to first log into the original cluster here, and we need to create a project A, and deploy an app for the simple one. So we actually need to install the operator first. So we're going to go to the operator hub over here, and we're going to go here, and we're going to type Crane, right?
Yes.
Make sure we do the correct operator. And as you'll see, it's the exact same workflow on both sides, which is always helpful. We're going to just do an install here, and we're going to do an install here. There we go. Install and install.
Right. And so that'll take a few moments. So now you can flip back to creating a project and getting an application running.
There we go. Okay. So, oh, that's right. That's the beauty of Kubernetes, right? You don't have to just do one thing. It's whatchamacallit.
We're logging into the AWS cluster as a developer user. And we're going to go ahead and create a project, and we're going to deploy an application into that project. While you can migrate some pretty complex applications, we're going to stick with something pretty simple. So we're going to go through the sample apps and pick something. Let's not do PHP. Let's do something like Python looks good. All right, let's do that.
There we go.
And hit create. So that's going to go out to GitHub. It's going to get the source. It's going to build an image. It's going to deploy that image, and then it's going to expose it over a HTTP endpoint. So that's going to happen. It's going to take a few minutes. So while that's happening, we can switch back to the admin view and see where our operator is at.
There we go. Succeeded. Just make sure sanity check succeeded also.
So now we need to create the migration controller.
That is correct. I'm going to go ahead and create it on the IBM side, or the migration side. Create instance, and then create. What's next, Paul?
OC project, OpenShift migration.
Migration. There we go. Yep.
Perfect. So maybe do an OC get all, and we should see if stuff's starting to run in there yet.
Migration controller desired current 52 seconds ago, which is what we're hoping for. And then we got our Valero running, and we've got, looks like everything in a pretty healthy state. So let's go ahead and apply we can go ahead and just to show that it's already here, origin microcontroller, which is exactly here what we're expecting. So we'll go ahead and do kubectl apply -f origin mid cluster. And that's what we're expecting. We need to save a service account. So if I do OC get SA, we have...
Yeah, so before you do this, we actually need to switch to the IBM cluster. Because this is a token for the remote cluster. So this is going to allow the origin cluster to talk to the remote cluster by grabbing the token and then providing the details. Let me take care of that in the background.
Gotta love secrets, Paul. You can't let them not be out on a video on the internet. I hear that's bad.
Okay, so I have saved that now, and so you should be able to just go ahead and apply that secret. So now with that config set, we can go ahead and add the destination cluster.
Can we do a get MIG cluster after this to see that the connection is possible? Like, how can we verify that just to make sure?
Yeah, that's a great question. And you can absolutely do a kubectl get, it was the type MIG cluster.
There we go.
Yeah. And so you can see that it sees two of them, right?
Yes.
It sees the destination and then the host. Now you can see the host is marked ready true. The destination has not marked itself as true yet. So if you run it again, so we'll give it a few minutes to think about it and we'll have a look at what the next steps are. It's going to store some files. It's going to back up PVCs. It's going to actually collect the image and store it into S3 so it can then restore it on the new cluster. And so we need to give it access to an S3 cluster. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to create a secret, which I've already put the correct access keys in the file.
There we go. All right, so we've created our secret for our access key, and we've applied it. We're still waiting on the thing to happen, but we need to now configure the MIG storage to use the actual S3 bucket, and that's what this next file is.
Yep, and you can see that we have a cred secret ref that's talking to the MIG storage creds, which is going to get to the secret, which is going to get the access key and secret key that we put in there without hopefully accidentally putting it on the screen. And I want you to type in kubectl describe MIG cluster destination.
MIG cluster destination.
Right, that is it. And so you can see it says the cluster is ready. So that is both the host and the destination are ready, which means we can move on to the next step. Kubectl get MIG storage and see if it's ready as well.
Yeah, it looks good.
Looks good. Perfect.
So now we need to create a plan. So what's the difference between a plan and an execute a plan? Where are we going with this?
Well, so the plan is saying this is what I want. And then the plan execution is like, okay, now go ahead and do it. So you can stage the plan without executing it. And if you look at what we're doing here, we've called it Migrate Project A. We've said that my destination cluster is called destination, which is the name we gave the IBM Cloud in the MIG cluster definition. And then the source is named host. And that's obviously the source it's coming from. The MIG storage ref, we mention AWS S3. And then we say which namespaces we want to back up and move. And in this case, it is the project A. We don't have any persistent volumes as part of that project, so we don't need to specify anything for persistent volumes.
So creating a plan is like prepping everything, and then when you execute it, when your boss says it's okay to move, that's the actual, let's actually do it at 3 in the morning. We created our plan.
So now if you look at the execution, it's basically calling it and executing it. And then there's just a couple of options. So QoS pods is going to make sure the pods aren't running, which is super important if you're doing something with PVCs, but it's not important in our case. So we could actually disable that. And stage is just if we want to stage it, so we can make sure it's working before we actually perform it. And we don't really care about that. So we can go ahead and apply the MIG plan execute.
Describe the MIG execution or plan execute. Oh no, JJ, come on.
MIG migrations. So.
MIG migration, my bad. All right, so it looks like we're in steps here. We're doing stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And we need to be in the correct namespace, right?
Yes.
Research our migration. And that looks like some stuff happening.
Yeah. You can see the migration UI, so you can click on its little pop-out migration UI.
This one?
Yeah. here you can kind of see, so here's the clusters. You can click on the replication repositories. So that's the storage. You click on migration plans. And that's the actual plan. You can see we've got one migration happening and that is currently running. So you can sort of see where it's at, the stage it's at. We can also watch the logs of it happening, which was that if you do a kubectl get pods, there's the log reader. So if you just do kubectl logs -f, paste that in and hit enter, it'll give you 2 container options. I think one is color, so go ahead and pick that.
Looks like things are happening.
Yeah, so that is it doing what needs to be done.
So if we go back to Migrate Project A, it is completed. So if we refresh this page.
Yeah, okay, so it's claiming a build has failed because it's tried to build it, but it shouldn't have. But if you look, the status looks up and the route is up. So if you click on the route, it should get us to where we need to go.
As a
right?
Django app. There we go.
So there's our app. It looks good.
Yeah.
Is it where is it on the old cluster? Is it gone?
Good question. Let's find out. And then we'll go as a developer. We'll go to project A. Looks like it's still here. So it migrated it over. So it looks like as an engineer, you'd have to turn this one off, but you have it working on the other one, but you never know, you might need to roll back. So it's actually a good idea to have it running on the other side and successfully on the other.
Yeah, well, in theory, we'd have some DNS or something we would need to migrate across, right? To move the actual ingress of the real app across. So it makes sense to keep it running on both for the short term, at least.
Yep.
So good job. You did it.
Yeah, well, right. This is good stuff. This is good stuff, Paul. It really was easy to migrate from one cluster to another with this. Thank you so much.
It just worked. I'm happy. Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye.